the security around this job is very minimal. Served over 20 years in advertising industry. And we ended up losing our jobs. Me and my wife at some point were separate ways. It went so much that I lost my family. All my life I've been trying my hand on business. The true capital is data. That's the next big thing. And we wrote the very first code that very weekend inside a bar. And no woman in the world will understand. Investors are looking for numbers. And every price I had to pay, it's worth it. I swear, it takes more than what you think to create a successful business. Raising funds does not make you successful because it takes a lot, not just a good product. So don't get greedy.
And we are having this conversation now because it has been successful.
We are in the business of digitizing small businesses.
Hi everyone, welcome to Be Agile, and today I'm joined by my good friend Mohamed from Setlo. Mohamed, karibu sana. Welcome to Be Agile. It's this pleasure hosting you. So please introduce yourself, your background, where you're coming from. Karibu sana.
Asante sana. So Mohammed Awami, co-founder of Setlo Technologies. I'm of mention. About my background, I come from advertising industry. I started off as a graphic designer back in 2004. And I went up all the way into art direction and up to the level of creative director. So I've served over 20 years in advertising industry.
Wow.
And I worked here, home and abroad, in South Africa. You know, if you work in advertising industry, it's one of the best and coolest jobs you can have. It's really enjoyable, especially if you're coming from creative departments, because every day is a brand new day. It's a whole new challenge, new briefs, and it's quite exciting, and it can also be intimidating. So there's a lot of adrenaline in the whole journey, but it can wear you off after some time. And as you progress in age, you end up losing energy into doing that kind of thing every day for 20, 18 years. But this job presents its own unique challenges, and that is lack of proper security. The security around this job is very minimal because you are banking on one or two major clients, as you may know, because I think you are also operating on that basis, the retainers and stuff like that. And when these clients decide to change agencies or they go down in terms of financial struggles, so it can have a rippling effect across the entire ecosystem, and you end up losing your jobs. So I've been part of retrenchments, not one, couple of them. And I was getting tired. Retrenchments aren't the best news to deliver at home. It affects your lifestyle. It affects what you can afford, what you cannot. And COVID hit us really bad. Multiple industries suffered. And I remember in my last job, we started off with work from home, if you can remember.
I remember that.
Work from home. And then as it progressed into that weird situations, we ended up having pay cuts, remember? And after pay cuts came retrenchments. And we ended up losing our jobs. During that time, I joined AIM Group in 2018. Before this time, I had a very limited knowledge of technology world in terms of how to create tech products. When I joined the AIM Group, that's when I was opened up. AIM Group was both the tech agency as well as a creative agency. I was responsible for a Vodacom key account in terms of creative lead, but also I was doing some other projects in there like prototype design and stuff. So the other UX UI.
UX design, okay.
All right. They had a very strong tech department, had a lot of developers. I cannot remember exactly the number, but there were over 10. All right. So my interest in designing UX and UI got to be tested there because we are now designing real life projects, not for fun anymore, not for portfolio. These are actual projects that will end up impacting the financial side of the company and us as well. So that is how I came into knowledge of technology side. All my life, I've been trying my hand on business, selling things. I would say I was among the first people to make the most of internet penetration and Facebook power in this market. And I started a page that is still very prominent today. It's called
Hard to Find.
Hard to Find was selling spare parts for European cars. 15 years ago, it was very hard to find spare parts for Audis, Mercedes-Benz, and BMWs in this market. People had to go to either to Nairobi or had to order them from US, Europe, and Dubai. So I started that online and it was going pretty well. And I also ventured into selling original watches online and I was interacting with developers doing websites for me. So I thought all developers in the world were doing websites.
All right.
That's what I knew about. So my introduction to real world of development came at AIM Group around 2018.
All right.
Going forward.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. That is a very comprehensive journey you've gone through. And at some point, the pieces are all coming together because like you see the marketing and the branding of Setlo outside. So at least now we can be able to put together 1 and 2. Yes, thank you for that introduction. One of my favorite thing about Setlo, it is the user experience, like from the logo and everything. And I always wondered like who is behind this in terms of look and feel. And I think it all makes sense. Now, tell me a little bit, how did you come up with Setlo?
Okay. So if I can recall correctly, Setlo was born not what it is today. So in the journal of startups, about pivots, right? So Setlo was completely something else. I can tell you a story. I have a son and at that time he was around 8 or 9. And one day I woke up in the morning, finding him in the living room playing PlayStation. And I panicked. I was like, why are you not at school at this point? I believe the school bus should have picked you up by this time, right? The answer was very blunt and you didn't pay the school fees. How? Okay, Baba Jana, I gave you a note. A reminder from school that you need to pay the school fees. And you didn't pay, so they didn't pick me up this morning. It's not my fault, it's your fault. You see? So you become like blown out of the water. You thought he was on the wrong side, you are on the wrong side. So this to me was a moment of what if? It's a question. We are living in the world at that time. We had a very powerful M-Pesa and mobile money service provider. And the banking industry was also progressing. We are embracing technology and we had apps and all that. What if the school, instead of sending me a note on a paper, hey, please pay this account number. So I had to go to the bank, the branch, queue during the lunch break. Remember, I used to I hope that you complete the whole transaction before you catch your lunch and then go back to work. What if they sent me a digital invoice, right? That I could pay that invoice through my mobile money wallet or my Visa card or MasterCard from my bank account. So that was like, what if they did that? And I was like, okay, maybe this is an opportunity. And since I had a very good relationship with the school administration, I said, well, let me do something. I'm solving my own problem and possibly other parents are also going through the same issues, right? So maybe I went back to the office at M Group and I called a very close friend at that time, Mr. Lupo Chambaka. And I had a chat over lunch because at M Group we had our small canteen where we have lunch. And during this time, I pitched this idea to him. So you know what, Lupo, I had A, B, C this morning. You guys, mnatengeneza ma software. Why don't we create a simple solution that schools can send digital invoices to parents who can pay through their mobile wallet or bank cards. That's how the whole idea started. from there, Lupo bought the idea. It was like, cool, we can do it. And I was excited because remember I was having my hands dirty in UX UI. So for the first time, I had to design my own solution. So I created a very simple, beautiful dashboard. It's a computer-based, because these are administration, web-based dashboard where they could go in, create an invoice, add list of parents and the phone numbers and email address, and shoot one invoice in terms of groups. If it's standard 1A, all parents of standard 1A are sent to one invoice, or the entire standard one, depending on the tiers, how much you're paying for your school fees. So you could create groups and send them one invoice to all of them. And then individually they'll open the link and go on to checkout. Right? Think of PayPal. I had no idea about APIs. Never in my life heard about APIs. To me, it works like that. Oh, sure. Cool. So, and Lumpo also was a very tech-based person. And at that time, he couldn't think of compliances. All right? What do we need apart from the dashboard? What else do we need? But luckily, we had the likes of Celcom, who were enablers of startups and other ideas. We also had Evmap. And other players. So I think our first approach was to use either Celcom or Evmap. So we created the dashboard, created the mechanism, and from there, while we were working, and I had to hire. Remember, this guy was a backend. To me, remember when I told that all developers were website designers?
To you, that were they're just doing website.
Now I've been introduced to the world of front-end and back-end. What the hell is this? Another cost, another head, another problem. He could do all the JavaScript thing, but on the front side, he had no clue. So what do? We had to hire a junior developer so we called the guy whose name was Danny, and you say, you know what, remember I'm getting salary. I had to pay Danny for my salary, his salary.
Wow.
It was my idea, right?
Pure bootstrapping.
Take all the bullets. So bootstrapping started there. I never knew that was called bootstrapping. Just sorry. All right. So Danny was doing the front end, who was doing the
back end.
Then we had a MVP that we could send the invoice. Invoice could open, all the payment options there, powered by Celcom. I went to pitch. I dashed on one amazing Saturday. I was very excited, and I went to pitch to the administration of the school. And
your son's school?
My son's school.
Okay.
And remember, the house I was living in was owned by the very same person who owned this. So I pitched to him first, and then he said, okay, go talk to XYZ. And hey, please listen to Mohammed or something. So I went there, powered. I have some big boy. So I went there, pitched it. People looked at me like, okay, it's really cool. But we're using, what is Indian software for accounting?
It's not QuickBook?
No.
What do we have?
It's very famous and popular.
Tally?
Yes.
Tally.
We're using Tally to manage all our finance. So how does Tally speak to your
system?
And Tally at that time, remember, it's not the Tally that it is now. It had no external API. It was locked in. Right? So there's no way we could get our hands on those APIs and say, now you can communicate with Tally, because they didn't want to have another dashboard to manage whatever else. But remember, the operation inside is they have to do everything manually. Even though the solution I was giving them, it's real time confirmation and reconciliation of the collections from multiple payment sources. But to them, they stuck on Tally. And for me, I was beaten. Remember, I was too young in this tech. So I came back to Lupo. Lupo was looking forward to what happened. Do we have the first business?
What have we done?
What have you done? So Monday, came back, say, you know what? Actually, I called him, I think. Say, you know what? It failed. Do you know API is Italian? There's no business here. So that's the end of it. Cool. That's the end of it. It cooled down. Like, umemwagia maji mkaa. Smoking. Almost dying. And then came another idea. Because when you start tech solutioning, or when you design a tech-based solutions, you become possessed.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like it's a dope thing.
Yeah.
It's really dope.
Yeah.
And you don't want to stop it. Nothing will stop you. And without knowing, these things are natural flowing. I never knew about pivoting, changing ideas to suit the original technology or tech stack whatever we built. So I was like, you remember the story I told you about? I was running online businesses.
Yes.
And I was using Shopify at that time to list the spare parts, and the watches. So I was creating my online store, Shopify, and I knew about Shopify POS, which was part of the package. And I've never seen businesses using the proper software to manage their businesses. So what if we allow people to create invoices and close them in real time? So we capture the information and we turn into reports, same fundamentals, same basics, with the digital invoices that can turn into sales through POS software. And I have to admit, I designed Setlo. At that time, it was not called Setlo. It was called Huru. Yes. Huru. And I think they started off with another name, not that.
Okay, let's not talk about that.
Designers, every day they design new logo. It's cool. Changing the name. So it was another name, but we settled with Huru. So we created the first interface where you can manage your thing with a catalog or services with prices, and then you can quickly create an invoice and check it out right there. And you can use the very same APIs to push. Remember the push? So that's when the POS was born.
The Setlo POS.
Not Setlo.
Huru POS.
Yes.
Okay.
And then took it to the market. It bounced. It's very hard to sell this kind of stuff while you're still working at some places. You don't have time. You're deprived of time and energy and focus. So it really didn't go further. There's some people who saw it and they understood the potential of what we were building, and they wanted to come in as investors. We had two different visions in terms of how we are going to approach, how we're going to take that to the market. And unfortunately, they never had money readily available into the business. So after some time, I decided to say, I told Lupo, I think these guys, they don't really have the proper intention or means to take this to the next level. So, hey, let's the ship now. All right, let's jump
the ship
and go do our own way before we go too far or too deep into the journey. But unfortunately for him, I think he saw other potentials or other angle with the team. So I dropped. And when I dropped, me being me, and because I was driving this whole concept, I called my co-founder. Now
you are now co-founder.
Said. I knew back in 2010. Remember the websites? He was the guy who was doing my website. Okay. So and we been in touch ever since. So I called him in my living room. It was this Sunday. I said, please come over. He wanted to be part of it as consultants, not a co-founder. To help Lupo on the front-end side. Remember, Lupo had no front-end skill. So when I called him, I said, I want to do the same thing, but with a different name and branding and everything, but the same thing. But we don't have any raw code here. We're starting with fresh. So luckily, he bought the idea since he already knew about it. And we wrote the very first code that very weekend inside a bar with blasting music in the middle of Walevi. And watu wanacheza mziki na makelele. We wrote the first line. That was a key part where you can type in the numbers and check out.
Now, for better context here, you are a non-technical innovator and founder. You had seen the ins and out of Huru and the way you worked with Lupo and everything. How important was it for you to look for a technical founder as a co-founder being a partner rather than just opting the way you opted with Daniel and paying him salary or whatsoever? What was the consideration that to say, like, I need a technical founder and seeing Said being fit for that. I just need to understand the reasoning behind that.
I think it was the cornerstone of the entire story and the entire journey.
Yeah.
It was the most important and the most right decision I've made so far. Because I already have first-hand experience of dealing with developers, both as a co-founder and as a paid consultancy. You know story ya fundi cherehani, sio? Fundi cherehani, hujai kupata nguo yako on time.
Yeah.
Shopata nguo yako on time?
No, not really.
There's always stories.
Yeah.
That's no difference with developers. Developers are kama fundi. Fundi by the way.
Mafundi.
Si mafundi wale. Same mother, same father.
Yeah.
That's the difference. You are a developer. You know yourself.
Yeah.
All right? So something that could take, you think it can take 2 months, it will end up taking 6 months. And you are powerless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
You may have the money, you may have the ideas, but I swear, when you're dealing with the developers in a capacity as a consultant, you're powerless. You have no power. They have all the power. You just have to pray and work. And
before they ghost you.
Kabisa. And you have to adopt their pace. And that can lead into frustration. It will be very expensive. You cannot afford it. It is too much emotionally and financially and timeline-wise. It will never be done. Never. Forget about it. I don't know how much money you need to have to wait for 2 years to complete a project that you're paying this person and they're holding you ransom. Because if you don't pay them, a single line of code is written. Because they have no emotional attachment with the product. Founders have emotional attachment. Am I wrong?
Keep going. I don't want to comment about that. No. Yeah.
Founders have emotional attachment to the products and services, whatever they're building. They believe in their own madness. All right? A paid person has no emotional attachment rather than another way to make extra money. You get it?
I get it.
So, how do you push someone who has no emotional attachment to the thing? Because the energy comes from the emotions. If you don't have it, there's no way you're going to wake up in the middle of the night and work till the morning for something that you have no emotional attachment. So the most right decision I've made is to approach Said as a co-founder. And here there's a very important lesson. I remember how we negotiated for the shares in that living room. It was a piece of paper and there they had a pact that we have a strong friendship, we protect each other, we don't hunt each other and all that. And the friendship died the day they had to split a piece of meat. Everyone wanted a bigger part. Once draw 60%, you take 20, you take 20. I said, no. This way, me 60, you 20, you 20. That's when the pact died and they went back to war, same as founders. During the negotiation of splitting the share, I have the idea. I have the passion to drive this. You have the skills. How much are you supposed to get out pie? Most of the time, if you get greedy, you won't get it. My lesson here, kama wewe huna skill ambayo huyo co-founder wako anayo. In my case, I can build brands, I can do marketing, I can do amazing events, use all the stuff, I can tell stories, but I cannot write a single line, even in my MS-DOS. I can't do that command. He has all the skills. All right? So how do you measure the heavy side? Who takes what? Less? There's no formula to it. This is the power of negotiations. You try to take as much as possible, but also you need to be empathetic. You need to understand this is emotional investment, not just skills. So me and him, we landed in a very good spot.
All right.
I think he was very happy and I was very happy. And that's what I think, until today, when I asked what really drove us, we went through a lot. For 2 years, building from 2018 to 2020 when we launched. we went through a lot. COVID, no work, no money, family issues. But we always met every night, never miss for 2 years. Right?
Yeah.
For
2 years.
2 years. What drove us? I think he saw the potential, and him having a large chunk of the ownership also drove him to the completion of the project.
Yeah.
So don't get greedy, especially if you don't have the skill that you need to build the solution that you want to use.
That's powerful. That's powerful, man. Key things here. And I want to just cycle back a little bit. You mentioned with so much emotion about the pain that you go dealing with developers and it not being done. You want to get it done and they hold all the power and everything. I recently ran a poll on my LinkedIn account about what are the most key challenges founders dealing with local developers. I had a couple of options there, and what people mentioned, I don't remember the exact options, but I just need to hear it from you as well. What do you think causes these ufundi challenges with developers and founders in our country? I just need you to touch base a little bit on that, because I know, like, seems like going through something that we did not mention earlier, but the hassles and being ghosted and like we have the source code. What's your experience dealing with the local developers? And
I think the challenge is, first of all, when they're doing your project, believe me, you're not the only customer who are doing that project at that time. They are juggling multiple balls at the same time. All right? Most of times they have day jobs, and after day jobs, they want extra income, and they're taking on those projects, and they will come on board with all the good sweet talk and all that. We can do this within XY time, blah, blah, blah. But once the ball is rolling, they've been caught up into a lot of things in the same place. So they have to divide the attention and the energy.
Yeah.
So I think this is one of the problems. I know at some point, all these people, they had more than one project. It was never exclusive what we are building. They had other thing going on. They would say, today I'm not coming, I'm going to meet another person. We have this project, blah, blah. So it's chill. Tomorrow, do I have a chance? Yes, come over. Oh no, today I'm still sick. He is not sick. I do some other thing. So I think having multiple projects and assignments gives them little time to focus on the project that they are taking on. Right? And another thing, as I said, is lack of emotional attachment. If you pay him to do you want to take 100% of the shares, and I choose to pay you to build the solution for me. What is it there for you once you? Is there anything?
The emotional attachment is
missing. What is there for you? Ukinitengenezea hii software nitaweza kwa shilingi 100. Afu mimi nilipo ujira wangu 12 tunakubaliana. Is there anything for me? Nothing. Any extra reason to work harder, to push yourself beyond the limit. The limit. I can tell you, me and Said, we have been working in a bar for 2 consecutive years through the COVID and after COVID. Sawa? And kwa sababu tulikuwa tunafanya kazi, tunakutana saa 12 jioni every day, saa 1. Tunafanya kazi saa 6 usiku hadi saa 7.
Wow.
Saa 6 usiku
mpaka saa 7.
Talk about marriages. I remember one co-founder wa Lipa Payments, the South African startup, who are driving accessible payment processing through tap and pay. I met him in Cape Town, and while we were talking, he asked me, he's a young boy, and once we spoken about family and stuff, he asked me, like, how did you manage to build Setlo while you're having family? Because you know what it takes to build this thing. It's more than dedication.
Yes.
It's obsession. So, kufanya kazi hadi saa 8 za usiku, and no woman in the world will understand that. Not one day, every day, for 2 years. It went so much that I lost my family for the very same reason.
Right, man.
I lost
your
family for the very same reasons. Me and my wife at some point were separate ways because of that. Luckily to Said, his wife kinda understood. and he was lucky to keep it intact.
Yeah.
So for me, I lost it. I lost the kids, the wife, the house, everything.
Oh man.
At some point, I was homeless. I was kicked out of the house. I was renting at Watumishi House. Couldn't pay the rent. It's a monthly rent. Not even 6 months is 1 year, but it's a monthly rent. And I failed to pay the rent, and I was kicked out, and I lived in a guest house for a month. Until a friend of mine, his name was Wilfred, gave me 2 million shillings to bail me out, of which I went to rent a small room somewhere and start with a mattress down. That's the journey you're going through. So losing jobs, losing families, losing income, losing a home, a lot of things. I never told anybody about these stories, but I think for someone who's trying to get into this game, prepare for the worst scenarios. They are trying to paint a very beautiful picture about running startups and starting this stuff, but it's really not what they tell you. They don't tell you everything. They only tell you the other side of the coin, but they don't show the dark side of it, the emotional drain. For someone who went through this journey, I don't think you will come out of it the same person you entered. If you entered this door today, you will not enter the other door on the other side, the very same person. You'll be messed up from head to toe. You're not going to be the same person. So if you want to come in, but prepare for any possible scenarios.
Mohamed, thank you for sharing that. That was so deep, and I know we could dive into the direction of the challenges and lessons, and I know it just started with you dealing with developers and everything. I want to leave it now at some point. Thank you for sharing that hustle and challenges. Allow me to get us back into Setlo. You got inspired using Shopify.
Yes.
And at some point you tried to copy paste what existed in the West to bring it locally here. We are having this conversation now because it has been successful. Tell me a little bit, did you do research? Did you talk to any customers? What process did you use during research to getting that, like, this is now perfect?
Cool. Just for your information, the process, you are the one who taught us about the process. The agile and stuff. During that seminar, I think that's when I was like, hey, there's agile. There was no such a thing. I never spoke to a customer in terms of gathering with intention. You know, sometimes you do things without knowing that you're doing it for a reason. It's just bahati mbaya, ajali or situation forces you to do those things. I never once spoke to a customer with a clear intention of trying to gather information and insight that will help me to develop the product. To me, I was single-minded that I am copying Shopify and localizing it. How do you localize it? Add Swahili as an option. Add payment methods that are speaking to this audience, such as Selcom APIs. So we can get paid the subscription because they will pay using Selcom APIs. And also if they want to get paid, they can also use the very same APIs to get paid. That was the localization, the language and the payment platforms. Other than that, I think the simplicity of usage, because I knew we were dealing with most people who are running these shops are not even the owners. So those dadas and kakas being employed into the shop and they're not tech savvy. So on the design side, I ditched what they have done in terms of the journey and I created our own in-house developed journey that was not contributed by the customers.
It was just you and Said?
Me and Said. Actually, it was me.
It was just you by that time. Pure engineer. He will sit, lock down, code.
In a bubble. Locking himself in there. And he's very good with whatever he's doing. But don't expect much from him.
In terms of ideation and research.
And you don't want to blame him for that because that's been the master of one thing. So everything is up to me, to be honest. The A/B testing, yes or no. I would end up showing my friends. People who worked at M Group, I know they will remember how obsessed I was at some time. I used to show them, hey, does it look working? Please use it. And tell me, is it working? So for those few people I had access to, okay, and knew what I was doing at that time. Other than that, no data collection. I didn't use that. No process.
No process.
In place.
No process.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Now, I think that there's a point of something that is happening in our ecosystem now. The valuable lessons that founders gain from these accelerator programs. We met during the PasaTech Accelerator by UNCDF, the first cohort. You were part of the very first cohort of PasaTech.
Yeah.
And that is one that I know that we've been in. Have you been in any other cohorts, other accelerator programs beside PasaTech Accelerator? No, that was the only one. Now, it would be great now to just reflect on that. It was last year, I think, to reflect on that. How important was it for you to be in that technical audit that you did, and how that helped you shape Setlo to what it is now?
I think that was very important event that took place during this journey. The accelerator program by PasaTech. I think it really kind of cleaned our home. We were living in a very messy house. No processes, no procedures, no systems. And that taught us about all those things, processes, procedures, systems, and how to develop successful products and all that. But you remember at that time, we were very deep into that. You saw the product yourself. You used it. You audited it.
Yes.
All right? It was not at the beginning. It was somewhere already. It's there. They were paying customers. It was being used and all that. It was beneficial in terms of from now going forward. It was not beneficial during the initial design and development of the product. It would have been much better if I had known about that, or I had a chance to be part of that accelerator program during the creation of the MVP. It would have been much, much better. Maybe even our tech stack would have been different than it is today. Things like you spoke about, remember one of the most important things was scaling up the tech stack. How do you prepare your tech stack to scale up? These are issues and challenges that we as founders are going through these issues when you start without proper education on how to build products. And at some point down the road, you'll have to redo things. You'll have to redesign and re-engineer your entire tech stack because of that lack of knowledge in the beginning.
Mohamed, your background is on marketing, design and creativity. I think you got around devs and everything. I need you to share insights and how you got yourself to get to understand the lingo, and why is it even important for a non-technical founder to educate themselves about the ABCs and the fundamentals of technology, understanding the tech.
Cool. I think for non-technical founders, it is important to learn these things along the way. When you enter the game, you don't know this stuff. Even at AIM Group, I didn't know about APIs and all this stuff, tech stack, what's up, the languages, JavaScript, backend, and front end. Hivi vitu vipya kwangu kabisa. All I knew was Photoshop, XD, Adobe for prototype. Click here, it goes there. That's it. Whatever magic you do there, I don't know. Maybe you call me doing the testing. So when I started building, I think it was during the time I spent a lot of time with Said than any other developer I've done. So much so, I don't know. I've never spent much time with my family than the way I spent with Said. the entire journey. And along the way, as you remember the conversation of Fundi, Fundi are known to dodge bullets. Right? They find a way to mwambia shati yako haijakamilika kwa sababu kifungo leo sijapata.
They just find an excuse.
They find a way to get out of the trouble. And believe me, if you don't know this shit, sorry for my French, you'll be tricked a lot. They will tell you it's a very simple technology. API imeharibika. If you don't know, API haiwezi haribika. Now, if you don't know, you will say, okay, fine, API imeharibika. Hamna kazi bado but okay? Tech stack. What kind of technology are we using? Why are we using that technology? Who is using that technology? Who else? Okay? So you need to understand Facebook, Instagram, and whatever, what's not, how were they used? What kind of tech stack were used? And why did they choose that tech stack? All right? You need to understand these things.
Yeah.
Because it will affect you down the road, very later, and maybe to redesign the entire thing from grounds up. And it is very costly, frustrating, and it can even cost you a business, right?
Yeah.
So in the beginning, I used to dash out these words, Java, PHP, code, lines, language, this and that. So I was capturing and the importance of it. All right. Why language? We are using this language. I remember there was a guy, Grayson. He was developing a software and he was fresh off the conveyor belt from the college and university. So he had all this energetic and when they come from university with this tech thing, they are cool kids. They are going with the trend. I think there was a language that was introduced at that time. It was like taking blocks and building on top of each other. You build from scratch. You just take a block, customize it, and it's something. So it is very fast way to build the entire software. It can cut down the time by 50%. And you say, no, we need to write our own codes because we can always go back and understand where the problem is. Right? So those debates got me into a heated conversation of someone says, oh, you're wasting your old school, you're blah, blah, blah. I said, no, you just using ready-made templates, blocks and put them together. It's not even legit. So I was a listener. I couldn't chip in that conversation because I don't know nothing. But I had to learn, I had to dig deep. I have to go to Google and say, where is Facebook? Which language was used to create Facebook? Which language was in there? And then go back to side, tell us more about it and open up more knowledge about that particular subject. That's how I get to learn this thing. So the importance of this in Pamba, if you're a non-technical founder, first of all, you are likely to be driving the business in multiple fronts because you're a tech founder, they're only focusing on one thing, to focus with the compliance, business model, pitching, now even customer care, you're the first person to provide all these customer cares. If your technology is falling apart every day, you need to ask, why is it falling apart every day? Is it the language, is it tech stack you're using? So you may not have a proper input, but at least you should be able to question certain things. Otherwise, you'll be chasing the wind.
Yeah. Wow. Nice. Thank you. I think one thing that's valuable I've taken from that is asking the right questions and always being curious and willing to learn. And I think that's what got you to be able to understand and work with your partner very well.
I think there's a reason why second-time founders are more likely to succeed than the first time. Why do you think that?
Educate me, please.
You know better.
Here I am to learn.
If I have to design today, if I need to take on another challenge and design another tech solution, I think I'm 100 times better than when I was starting this journey. There's so many things. I know back in the day, it was about, we have this idea, let's go. Lines written. I think you need to spend a month brainstorming the entire architecture, the tech architecture. Forget about the design and user experiences. The entire tech architecture has to be designed and brainstormed. And if it is possible, bring in external teams to battle it out and come into a conclusion that this is the right approach from data processing, servers, setup, languages, the entire universe of creating that thing has to be debatable and has to be thought out in terms of knowledge base and trends and what is coming tomorrow before you just start with the line.
Wow.
I cannot read.
I have a question for you following up on that. If you're given a chance now to start again Setlo, based on experience and everything that you've gone through, what things would you change? Take your time.
I think the first one is easy for me. Tech engineering. I will have a different approach.
Tell me about that.
I'm not going to dive deep into this because I'm not a tech founder. Sometimes we're facing challenges that I think would have been avoided had we gone through the proper processes of deciding the tech stack and engineering approach from the beginning. That is one thing without a doubt. This is more into the business side, not even the tech side. Understanding the importance of
Customer care.
the cost, losing
Customer.
I think I will do them differently.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they kind of decide your future and how fast you can. I won't go to a third one.
You want to go for a third one?
Yeah.
You did not actually get to involve your customers very early. Would you want to revisit that, and would you change that approach?
Yes, to an extent. Yes, I would.
Okay.
But I've also learned during this journey other things. As much as you want to blame yourself because you didn't do it, but chances are the tech knowledge of a nation or his tech savvy target audience can decide the success of your journey. To make it simple or hard. So it's both sides. It's us, the developers and designers and innovators, as well as out there.
In very early days during Huru, you started to speak about people being interested to invest, these local founders and everything. Setlo has raised seed fund of about 3 million. Congratulations on that first.
Thank you.
Now, tell me the journey and the experience, and like what boxes did you get to check to raise that?
Wow. So, first of all, to the founders and the people in whatever stage they are, the beginning, the middle, hustling to get that money that we believe would take us to the next level and next stage of our journey. One thing that I want you to learn is that there's no formula to raising funds. There's no defined formula in terms of where is it going to come from. There's no such a thing. It may come in the most of unlikeliest of places and sources. And it's all about networking and reaching out and be very good storyteller. As a founder, your one duty is to clearly paint a picture of where you want to take this business. If you look at our business models, they take time. Our business models are not, you cannot roll them out at the same time. One has to begin successfully to unlock the other. And the business model has multiple revenue channels, not a single revenue channel. It's a multiple revenue channel. And these revenue channels can be unlocked by a previous successfully onboarding and retention of your customer base. That is one side. Investors are people who want to double their money or triple their money. They are not charity. So when they are looking for a place to put their money next, they have to see a clear path to success. And you're responsible to learn storytelling art.
Yeah.
The art of storytelling. So you're pretty much selling a dream. Some people are raising money in different markets, playing from a pitch deck. They raise money because I want to do Airbnb because there's a problem. People don't have a place to go. Hotels are very expensive and people want to be free. There's no such a solution. Here's the money, go build it. In some developed markets, right?
Yes.
Am I wrong?
Right.
So for us, it was about what is to come. So you need to learn to tell a story. You need to paint a picture. People to come and see this potential and want to be part of it and to invest their money in it, you must convince them. And there's a lot of things that will convince them in terms of numbers, partnerships and contract signed. All right? And the beauty of the solution and the true problem that you're solving and the market size. Those are factors. So you need to have either all of them or some of them. For businesses who have been in the game for long enough, they have amassed a good number of users and base and revenues. They can bank on the revenue side. For those who are starting out with an amazing solution and have convinced some big corporation that will come on board and be part of you so you can scale fast. You can use that as a means and vehicle to raise money. I'm very active on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, please take this note, focus on your journey on LinkedIn. Don't be pulled from trends and what's happening. I've seen some founders, now they're becoming writers. They're spending so much money reaching out some facts and insight about the industry and blah, blah, blah. That's cool. But please spend more time on your business and tell your story because people are watching. Tell your story. Share your little milestones every now and then and clearly paint a picture where you want to take it. Right? So use that platform. LinkedIn is a powerful, powerful platform to showcase and put yourself in the eyes of the world. People are watching and people are sharing without you knowing. Maybe your name is popping in boardrooms without you knowing. As long as you're sticking to the guns and tell your story in a more profound, beautiful, clear way that everybody can understand and see what you are building and where you are heading. So the entire thing started on LinkedIn. It was an inbox. I think I pitched him the idea and the guy says, send me the pitch deck. I sent the pitch deck and he's coming from one of the banks. And he shared the pitch deck among the team because, banks now, everybody's vying for merchants, right? The MNOs and banks, they're all vying for merchants. That's the next big thing. Payment processing, financial products like bank accounts, loans and what's not. This is the next big thing. So when we shared what we are building and how the synergies are between us and the other side, initially it was all about how can we partner to digitize your base of merchants who are banking with your bank so they can start keeping the records clean. All right? Because we are in the business of helping SMEs to keep their record clean. And in return of that, we are going to use other tech to do credit scoring for small businesses. Credit score with so much data points that even a bank don't have. There's a limited amount of information they have from merchants, and MNOs have limited amount of information they have from merchants. But with Setlo, we have a very big overview of the data point that you can use to create authentic credit scoring for small businesses. Yeah. I couldn't attend. I was late for that meeting. I was on the way to the office and people went out. If you missed it, it's a bus gone. So luckily it was rescheduled the other day and a few number of people turned up. We spoke. They were excited and the fire went down. Like always. How many corporate people you've been dealing with and then nothing happened?
Yeah, just ghost you.
Yeah. So why should we waste the time and taking risk with you? We are cool. So everybody. And he took it upon himself to pitch it internally to another colleague who knew someone who was looking to invest in the tech space. And he had interest in the microfinance. All right. And with microfinance, I think he was already doing that without any data, just faith. Just take money and then pay us back. We collect whichever way we know. And through Setlo, I think they saw a way that in the future, we are going to use data to lend money to these people. So that's where the marriage came. They saw something they were interested in, and we are heading towards that. I'm not telling you at that point that we had a credit scoring mechanism with Setlo. No, even up until a point, we don't have that. But that's where we're heading in partnership with other players. So they saw a way that we could work together, and that's opened the flood of events. And we had the first meeting at where the church palais, St. Peter's. Yeah,
St. Peter's.
There's Protea.
Yeah, Protea.
Yeah, we had a meeting there with the guy from the bank and the potential investor with his family. It was a casual meeting. Just tell us about what you're doing. And that's when the storytelling part has to come in full. Tell you, so you've convinced you of a one in a lifetime chance to succeed or take a business to the next level. and you have to pour in your heart, your soul, and everything into this moment. Yeah. So we went there, we pitched, we showed them, we showcased how it works. They understood it. Okay. And then from there, it was very fast tracked. Yeah. During the PesaTech Accelerator, you were the service provider, multiple location, and we used one of those guys from PesaTech Accelerator to facilitate the whole deal. And he was the one who saw it to the completion. Yeah.
Congrats on that, man. And I think we are talking about local investors here.
Yeah.
So it is actually happening. People investing, local investors investing in local startups. And I think for us who have been in the ecosystem for quite some time now, it has been a cry out for a long time, and so glad that this is happening now. I need you to touch a little bit about the importance of partnership, because I know you have a very great partnership with Vodacom, and how that partnership has boosted your business model and your entire stack toward the next level of Setlo.
I think the fastest way to grow a startup is through partnerships, I can tell you. Because acquiring and maintaining and keeping the customers happy for a long time to realize the success takes a lot of investment. I can tell you when did we get our hands on M-Pesa? When was that? 15 years ago?
15 years ago.
Right? It took them how many years to acquire the merchants and users for system, and how much money? It's a lot of money, right? Yeah. For a startup, you don't have that money. You don't have that money because it takes a lot, not just a good product. It's a whole science from marketing to sales. Sales and marketing are two different things, but they're depending on each other. You have customer care and support, onboarding, training, maintenance, until you make someone happy to remain and pay you for 5 years or 10 years. It's not an easy job, and it requires investment. I think that's where most of startups are getting stagnant and they're dying within 2 to 3 years. Because if you don't progress within this period of time, even your energy is dwindling. You cannot keep up. So, having said that, I think the Vodacom contract and the partnership that we are about to roll out has been an instrument and very important aspect of the whole thing. Because local investors, they are not very aware of the technology landscape in terms of investment. Look, all these agencies, investment agencies in this country, where are they investing their money? They invest in commodities. All right. They invest in trading. They invest in the farming, because these are things that are tangible. You put 100 million today, you buy X number of bag of maize, and we sell them 6 months later when the demand is higher, you're making our profit at 50%.
Yeah.
It's a very simple math.
Yeah.
And their money is back. So technology is a whole new world for them. And for our investor to see a potential in us, it's a big statement it's a big statement of the attention, and they're willing to take on new waters that they're not familiar with. You must have some sort of agreement like this that can help you propel the business into the next level, because for them, it's about numbers. Investors are looking for numbers. They're not looking for your beautiful UX or your tech stack. They're
just looking for numbers.
Yeah. So it's all about numbers.
It's all about numbers. Nice. Mohammed, we are about to wrap up. I want to share the takeaways. But before I do that, I need you to talk to a younger. So someone right there is watching, a non-technical entrepreneur founder, either ventured or wishing to venture into technology and investing their time, emotions. Tell them something that will help them skip the pitfalls that you have skipped.
When you called me, I told you, you're the startup founders of this time, as this group. We are the human natures of Bongo movie, Bongo hip hop, whatever
it is.
What
Bongo hip hop, Bongo flavor.
Remember, kina human nature watu wanaanza, kila mtu alikuwa anavuta bango. hawaeleweki, wanavaa kihuni, wanafanya kila nini. And I remember in late 90s, early 2000s, human nature was, I can say human nature was equal to, what Diamond is today, if you can recall.
I agree.
But human nature never reaped the reward of that industry. It is our kids who are reaping the reward of that industry today. People, human nature was depending on shows and selling cassettes and whatever, CDs, whatever. People are making money from YouTube today thanks to internet penetration. The world has changed, but the fathers and the founding of that hustle and movement couldn't get to reap the rewards.
Yeah.
We're in the very early stage of this industry in this country. If you look at our neighbors, Kenya, they're doing very well in terms of exposure. Investors are more likely to go to Kenya and invest and take risk and lose their money than coming to Tanzania, because it's kind of North Korea of startups, North Korea for investment. We're unknown. There's a lot of mystery around us. So if you want to come into this game, prepare for two things. 80% failure, 20% success. Don't come with the hope that you are going to make it. If you're young, it is best to start young. I think if I have to advise myself, I say I'm into my 40s. I think I would have done this in my early 20s. So even if I failed, I would have another chance. Yes. But in the late stage of your life, I don't think you cannot afford to fail at a certain stage in life. And I think we've been lucky in that way. For the young boys and girls out there, first of all, solve the real problem. No fantasies, no cool stuff. Solve the real problem that you think, and you have to prove that people are willing to pay for it. Understand your business model very well. And I would advise you should have more than one revenue channels in that business model. So you can always pivot or you can shift your focus as you're going forward. Money or raising funds is not the end of the game. It's the beginning of everything. And believe me, there's always problems around products and tech products. So never rest when you see the light. Run faster and harder when you see that light, because that's when everything begins. Because the chances of you growing bigger is when you have something to have a runway of X number of months and years to pivot, to redesign, and going back to a tech stack and design it all over again and all that. So also leverage on knowledge that is freely available in terms of
the University of YouTube,
the likes of Tech
accelerators,
programs. It is very important to engage early on before you go further deep into the journey and learn the art of storytelling. You need to be a very good marketer of your product from the customer point of view and from investors' point of view as well.
Nice. Mohamed, how can people reach you and your team? How can Setlo benefit SMEs business?
We are in the business of digitizing small businesses.
Okay.
And as we may know, small businesses in Africa and all over the world are the backbone and the drivers of the economy. Everything we buy, we eat, it's coming from the small businesses. Home appliances, everything. Every aspect of our life is somehow provided by a small business. They're driving the life we're living. And they are very important in the economy, but they have a big problem. They don't have access to financial services, especially around capital when it comes to growing and sustaining their businesses. So we are coming in to help them, because this problem is contributed highly by lack of proper record keeping. They use Daftari and a penny to record their transactions and what's not, of which is not the standard format for bankers and financial institutions to verify your financial health so that they can be comfortable to lend you money to grow your business. Especially most of the money does not hit the bank account, goes into the mzunguko.
Yeah.
So Setlo will help you to manage your inventory. It will help you to record your expenses, to record sales, CRM, managing your customer contacts and the information, SMS marketing, reports, and even e-commerce. We are giving you a free e-commerce website where you can sell to anyone, your own online store. You populate your product on POS, it appears on your website and your online store, and anyone in the world can actually buy and pay for your service and products, and you do the rest of the delivery. And also, we're giving you very powerful reports about your business. For instance, I can tell you, if you have a business, likely you don't know how much you've invested in that business. Setlo can tell you the value of your inventory. And inventory can also be used as a collateral. Right? So we're showing you the value of your business, your daily sales, your profit margins, because the system calculates profit margin based on selling price and cost price. And top selling customers, top selling staff, top selling products. And there's so many reports in the system that will help you write decisions when it comes to your business and help the data to present your business health to financial services. Till later stage, Setlo will be able to process your digital payments like mobile money, card, through tap and pay technologies. We're heading there. And also we are playing around the idea of credit scoring in partnership with other players so that we can understand your business better and serve you the right way. So this is the best way to begin this era of technology and run a business like any other modern business in the world. Because where we're heading, the true capital is data.
Okay. Awesome. True capital is data. I'm taking note of that. Forgot that.
All right. So to reach Setlo as a service provider, you can call us on 0759 229 777.
And the website, the mobile app, anywhere?
So if you want to try Setlo on your own, just go to Play Store or App Store, download Setlo POS, create your account, verify your account, and populate your products and catalogs and services and start selling. You can start selling, you can record your sales, you can record your expenses, and you go to reports and see how it works. Free 7 days to use Setlo without paying. And then from there, you pay a very simple $10 a month za kutumia kwenye duka yako, kwenye restaurant, kwenye pharmacy, anywhere kwenye biashara aina yoyote. It's adaptive and easy to use. And you'll be able to add your customers, you add your staff profiles that can use individually and enjoy your business and simplify everything.
Do you have any question here? Are we good?
Especially umepata idea, umepata challenge, ili unaanza kulea. How do you integrate that down kwamba you start again apply your data process? It's how we do there.
Grayson asked Mohamed, how do you get to pick up the lesson that you've learned on something that you've already done wrong? Do you start all over again? How do you pick up that? So that was the question.
I think that reminds me of the story of Facebook. Somehow, I think Facebook was designed for college students of a particular college or a small collection of college. Fast forward today, Facebook is a global product. I don't think the original tech stack is designed for that level of scalability. At some point, Facebook had to do it all over again. Now, to answer this question, I think it depends on how far down the road you are. How many kilometers you've traveled without proper guidelines and you've been doing things the wrong way? How far have you traveled? If you are in the early stages of the development process, there's a big chance of redoing it all over again with care. If a product that is already in the market and people are using and their lives depends on it, you're not going to disrupt it all of a sudden. All right? So you need to find a way to introduce these steps and working back as you're going forward. So I think the best way is to deal with clusters of tech stack. You deal with particular issues in a particular area, not general thing. For instance, am I right?
You're on the right spot.
No,
you're on the right spot. No. I'll get to echo it, but you're very on the right spot. The language that you're speaking is the language that a fellow entrepreneur and innovator would understand better. So I will need you to keep going. You're on the right track already.
So use defining, because the way technology is done, it's like growthers. Like this. There's one particular API deal with payments, there's another particular API deal with the processing, there's another particular product dealing with display and all that, and servers and all the stuff. So you cannot go say, you know what, we just learned something today, wait, boom, start all over again. If people are already using it, you cannot afford to do that. So start to work back as you're going forward by focusing on particular clusters. So let's say our data loading is too heavy because we didn't consider certain aspect of engineering in the beginning. So we need to solve this first. So start with the most important thing that affect the general experience of your customers. And then as you after some time, it will be scaled around maybe 6 months, depending on the size of the projects and what you need to fix. But I think my advice would be fix particular issues and focus on them instead of doing it all over again, especially if the product is already in the market.
Nice. So let me try to package that in a technical way a little bit. Okay. So what Grayson asks is something commonly known as technical debt. It is the cost of doing the previous work that was done due to lack of knowledge or doing a certain shortcut. So Mohamed explained it so well. How to pay that technical debt, like a technology that you've incurred, your startup has incurred due to lack of certain knowledges or processes or shortcut that you ran across. So Mohamed says, start dealing with areas that affect most of your customers as much as your solution is already in place. Question? Mohamed, can you paraphrase the question on the mic?
Yes, I think anachouliza ni kwamba kama nimemwelewa kwamba given the point that I shared kwamba at some point I lost a family because as a cost to pay during the building of the dream as a founder, and he's asking at what point should someone know to hit a button of this is enough?
This is done.
I have to go back. This is not working. I have to go back. Cool. I think this is personal. There's no general answer to this. Because as much as I understand, you have never met a stubborn people than founders.
Agreed.
Because, as I said earlier, there's a lot of emotional investment in whatever they do. And they believe it religiously. Like after their religion, if they're going to mosque or they're going to church, what next is their ideas,
their baby,
and their babies. This faith is very strong. You cannot separate a founder from this idea, is it? They would rather lose their family, their wives, and whatever than living this thing. It's evident if in the world there's so many stories, better, good, profound, very sad stories. People went through hell to realize their dreams. I've done. You cannot compare my story to people.
People
are going through hell. All right? So when do you stop? I think I need to put up in my own perspective. Yes, I applied for a job.
For a job
at some point after hitting the financial rock bottoms. When you lose the home, as I said, and you have to be bailed out by a friend, especially if you had your life, you had your ways. It's really, for men, it's not easy taking it. You're starting feeling like a failure at some point. You question yourself, am I a failure? There's a lot of pressure, social pressures. You don't have this, you don't have that. Your friends are driving cars. Unapishana kwenye una nyumba hujajenga, umri umeenda. Social pressures are piling up. Unaanza kuwaza retirement. Sina any retirement plan. I have no salary. So nakumbuka mimi na Saidi tulikuwa tunalipana shilingi 25,000 kwa wiki. What does 25,000 kwa wiki inafanya kwa maisha? Haifanyi chochote. So all this unashindwa ku provide school fees na pile up, watoto wanaambiwa usiende shule. You starting questioning yourself. Am I a failure? Especially if you're family. If you're a young startup founder, maybe you can borrow yourself some 10 years. But if your family people were depending on you, it's even harder.
Yeah.
All right. So when do you stop? It depends on the stubbornness level and how much you're willing to sacrifice. But at some point, you should know when to stop.
I should know.
Because you are damaging other people's lives. If your kids are no longer able to go to school, that is a massive damage. Or instead of stopping, you need to work yourself to death. So pick another job, or if you have skills, you can lend your skill as a consultancy in another area and while you're driving this. So you're dividing your time and attention, but it won't be as effective as being 100% in the business. So I don't have a direct answer really, because it depends on what person to person, how much they're invested in the ideas, what's the emotional level attachment to this project of this baby. Founders are known to be stubborn. Yeah. So I don't know, to be honest.
Mohamed, I have a little bit of personal question here, and you can say no to it. Now we're speaking about losing house, your home, family, kids, and everything in between, hitting rock bottom on your financials and everything. I believe we're at a certain stage right now. Setlo, we can say it is a successful fintech in our country, heading there. Come on.
Okay.
Actually, I had this question before we go there. Me and Mohamed, we had this joke, and we usually, actually to every other Mohamed, say like, Mohamed,
I know where you're going.
There are 3 levels of Mohamed, yeah?
I think 4.
4. All right. So I'll say 3, I know, then you tell me. All right. There's Moody. Like Moody is broke. Then there's like that, somewhere in between. There's more. The more is the rich, like the Doji more. Doji more. What's the 4th one?
After Moody, there's Mohamed.
Mohamed. Nice. We got it right. So you're coming from Moody, Mohamed, Mohamed, Afmo. So
if people to pronounce your name the right way, Mohamed, you're something.
You're something. Yeah. All right. Now
call you Mohamed. Bro, you need to check yourself.
Yeah. So at some point you are Moody. Yeah. Moody. All right. So at what level between these 4 levels, right? Let's just gauge the success of Setlo. Where are we at in these levels of Mohamed's versions?
There's 2 things here. The success of Setlo. Setlo is not yet successful. Setlo is on the way to become. We have a very good example here of success. Samir Hirj and Selcom.
Samir.
Usually he announced the acquisition of a bank. Proof. For people, they're celebrating, but they don't know when did he start Selcom. Selcom started back in 2008, 2000, God knows. Yeah. And look at the journey he was selling, whatever. It took how many years? 15, 18 years to reach where he is today.
Yeah.
So the same thing to the young aspiring founders. I swear it takes more than what you think to create a successful business. Raising funds does not make you successful. You're just being given a springboard to jump further and reach the potential, but you're not successful. Successful is a whole different level. It takes a lot of time. I believe it will take between 5 to another 10 years to start talking about success. All right? But we are on a good spot to become what we want to become. So going back to your question, in the 4 levels of Moody, Mohamed, Mohamed, and more, I think it's like I'm in a coma between Mohamed and Mohamed. Depends on the date of the month. Tarehe ngapi leo?
Tarehe 4.
4. Call me Mohamed. Mohamed.
End of the month, early of the month.
Ifika tarehe 27, bro. Mohamed. So it's a coma. Unalala, unaamka. One thing changed, at least now we have a salary.
Nice.
We have a salary. Kutoka 25 kwa wiki, you have something that maybe you can put back the food. Hey, good news is I'm back with my family.
I was going to ask that question. This is a personal question. My question was like, was it worth it? And to date, and how much have you recovered of what you've gone through, family and wife? Please tell us about that.
Alhamdulillah, I would say we were able to patch up our differences and we are back together.
Nice.
The family, because as much as dreams are concerned and adrenaline and the desire to be successful, nothing beats the importance of family, right? Especially yourself and kids, your spouses and partners in life. It is us who abandoned the dream that we sold to them.
Yeah.
Your wife, you sold them a dream, right?
Yeah.
When they came into our lives, maybe we're working, we're earning, we could provide certain level of support and lifestyle. And when that goes out the window and you're stubborn, because for me, matatizo yangu makubwa was fedha ambayo we were supposed to go into food budgets was also used to buy tablets so that I can sell to merchants. And she couldn't understand that. How come badali kwa tunakula wali na kuku, leo tunakula wali maharage, kwa sababu you have to take money, go sell your devices. It's a problem. There's a lot of change. School fees zikiwa zimechelewa, unajua mkeo anakuwa mkali kiasi gani ukichelewa kulipa school fees. Do you know that?
Yeah, I know, man.
You are there. So for them to understand this, some people stick, some people it takes time to understand. But luckily, after all the storm, we managed to patch things up for the sake of all of us in the family, not just for them or even for myself, for emotional support, because being alone, let me tell you, remember when I told you that when you enter the door first time, we're not going to be the same person? I've developed diseases that I never had when I was coming in. Speaking of pressures and anxiety and all that, I never had this stuff, but that's the price to pay. But it's still early, we're still fighting. We're not successful, as I said. But maybe one day we'll reflect back on all these events and say it was worth it. Every pain, every decision, every risk taken, and every price I had to pay, it's worth it. It will take time, 5 to 10, maybe 15. But maybe sometimes you're not building something for yourself. You're building for the people who come.
Generation.
When you create a successful business, chances are Setlo will be here for the next 100, 200 years. And the true beneficiaries won't be me, because for the next 100 years, we won't be talking about this. To be another generation, other people. So it's a long-term thing. But I hope, inshallah, it will be worth every moment, every decision, every risk, and every price that I had to pay for it.
Awesome. Mohamed, thank you very much. Mohamed shared very good, valuable lessons. I learned myself a lot as he was sharing his story. I did my best to take notes. First is they pivoted from building an invoice system for school to the solution that we have now, and was inspired by Shopify. Mohamed speaks about the importance of balancing work, entrepreneurship. He worked late nights to be able to build his startup. And at this point, sadly, he lost his family, but gladly he has recovered from that. Be careful dealing with developers, freelancers, as most of the time they don't have emotional attachment to your solution. So like you need to give something for them to be attached. Mohamed insisted on the importance of his journey actually looking for a technical founder. And for this case is Saidi, where the partnership helped them to build a strong product that it is today. And in forging that partnership as the first founder or the innovator, don't be greedy. Look for what you're missing and be able to learn from that. Another thing is lessons he shared dealing with developers is learn to ask great questions. Be curious. And most importantly, be ready to learn and learn the stack, learn the lingo, because it is important. If you don't do that, it might affect hugely on your product later on. I asked Mohamed 3 things that he would advise the technology startup and founders today. He spoke about get to know your stack, get to know the technology that is used to use it to build it, take care of the customer, and importance of not losing your early customer. Mohamed shared about, he said no formula for raising a capital. Network, tell your story, engage. He shared something very good is LinkedIn was a key for him to build up his connection, and actually his local investor, the journey of him being invested in his company started on LinkedIn just for him telling a great story, and he insists people are watching. Another thing Mohamed shared is focus on solving the real problem. Don't build up fantasy solution, and start early at your young age. Mohamed started a little bit late, and along the way it was a little bit more challenging for him. But if he had started early, it would be easier to change and pivot and, fail, and he would have more time to learn from and engage and apply into this accelerator, learn and so much valuable lessons through the USCDF PesaTech Accelerator program. Remember the importance of data. The real capital is in data. Also, he mentioned the importance of paying the technical debt of your solution. Start and to focus the pain point that the part of your solution that affects your customer most. So those are the key things that shared. Thank you very much, Mo, for that session and for joining us. If you found the lesson that Mohamed shared valuable, kindly share it. Invite fellow founders and innovators ecosystem. Watch this. This is Be Agile.